This class is brought to you by the LA Care and Blue Shield Promise Community Resource Centers. The centers are a place to help you be active, healthy, and informed. We hope you enjoy this virtual class.
Hello, my name is Sonia. Today we are going to be talking about portion control and how it can benefit our health. It is important to talk about portion control as most people eat more and exercise less than they think. This can affect their health goals, for example, if they are trying to lose weight, and it can hinder their efforts towards a healthier lifestyle. So let's go ahead and get started. What we are going to do today, we're going to talk about portions. We're going to talk about plates, the plates that we use to eat. We're going to look at different examples of foods and what one portion actually means. And then we're going to talk about different devices that you can use to better control your portions and help you with your health goals. So let's first start by talking about the size of our plates. The size of our plates can actually make a big difference in the amount of calories that we consume. In previous classes, we've talked about the importance of calories in and calories out. And so basically, if we are looking, for example, to lose weight, then we need to make sure that we eat less calories than what we burn. We want to burn more calories, eat less calories, and that way we can lose weight. If we want to gain weight, then we have to eat more calories than what we burn so that we have a surplus of calories, and that helps us to gain weight. And then if we want our weight to remain, then we have to make sure that we find that right balance, that we're burning just as many calories as we are eating. Now, our plate size has a lot to do with the amount of food that we are going to eat. And that's why I mentioned that sometimes people have health goals where, let's say, for example, they want to lose weight, but they don't really realize the impact that the tools that they're using, or even the plates that they're using, the impact that those can have on their health. So let's first start by talking about the size of the plates. So you will notice here that I have two plates. I have this plate, which is a typical plate that we use these days. And then I have this plate, which most people would consider a salad plate these days. And so the plates, since 1960, the overall surface of the average dinner plate has actually increased by 36%. And so that means that if we tend to fill our plates with food, then we are technically eating 36% more food than what was eaten back in the 1960s. Now this plate here, this is what was considered a dinner plate back in those days. This is the size of the plate that they would use compared to the size of the plates that we tend to use these days. Sometimes we might even go to restaurants where we no longer are eating off of plates, but we're actually eating off of trays. And so the point obviously is that the bigger the plate, the more food that we tend to eat. A lot of times too, we tend to go to restaurants where we know that we're going to get a bigger portion because we have this mentality, right? Get the most bang for our buck. And so again, that just takes us to overeating, which then can lead to different health issues, which we're going to talk about in a bit. So the plate that we want to look at is this one, which is about 9 inches in diameter versus 13 or more inches in diameter. Remember that this can make the difference of about 36% more food, and then eventually that will make a difference also in calories. And so again, calories in, calories out. We eat more calories, we don't burn as many calories, then we are going to start seeing that affect our health. Along with the size of the plate, portion size is also important. And so when we are talking about portion size, we want to look at the different tools that we can use to measure our portions, okay? And so with portion size, I'm going to use some of these foods to give you an example. So let me first tell you the tools that I have here. I have measuring spoons. So these are some measuring spoons. These range from 1/4 of a teaspoon up to a tablespoon. I have measuring cups. These range from 1/4 to 1 cup. And then I have scales. I have 2 different scales. I have this one, which is just a basic scale that can measure food in kilos or pounds. And then I have this one that actually has 2 different scales, okay? This one can also give you kilos or pounds. You can put a small cup or you can put a bigger plate. So this one's a little more modern than this one, but they both are just as good, right? These are both scales. Now food, when we look at the labels, as we discussed in previous classes, the label is going to tell us what 1 serving is, okay? Now 1 serving can be different from 1 portion. Let's say that it's, for example, the honey, okay? Now honey, this is telling me that 1 tablespoon, which is about this much, 1 tablespoon is going to give me 60 calories. Now with honey, there's not going to be a recommendation. How much honey, right, do I need to eat per day? Or how much honey is it recommended that I eat per day? It doesn't really fall into one of the food groups. If I choose to eat honey, then I know that for every tablespoon I'm going to be consuming 60 calories. So how does that help me? Well, that helps me because if I'm trying to control my calories, if I'm trying to control my sugar intake, if I'm counting my calories, let's say I want to lose weight, and so I'm keeping track of how many calories I'm eating, okay, knowing that 1 tablespoon has 60 calories, then I am going to be careful, right, as to how many calories I consume of honey. It's not just going to be how much I am eating of food, it's also going to be what I am eating, right? So quality and quantity, both of them are going to be important. So let me give you another example of the importance of portion control. So here I have a bowl of cereal. Now what I did is I asked my nephew, who is 20 years old, I said, pour as much cereal as you would eat at one time. And so he poured this whole bowl of cereal here, okay? You can see the size of the bowl, the amount of cereal. That's how much he would eat at one time. Now if we were to take the box and look at the amount that is considered 1 serving, it tells us that 1 serving is 1 cup. So what I am going to do now is I'm going to pour 1 cup of cereal, or put 1 cup of cereal here in this 1 cup measure. Okay, so that's about a cup. So there, okay? And so what you can see is the difference, clearly the difference between the two. Here's 1 cup, and here's what a 20-year-old male would eat. And now if we were to look at this here and break it down into cups, it looks like it could easily be maybe 2.5 or 3. And again, the serving size doesn't tell you this is how much you should eat. What it's telling you is if you eat this serving, you are getting 140 calories. But let's say that this one here is 3 times the amount, so now we are consuming over 400 calories. It's going to make a big difference, again, particularly for people that are trying to achieve their health goals and they don't understand what it is that they're doing, right? What could they be doing perhaps incorrectly that is keeping them from achieving their goals, okay? And so again, just look at the difference. It's just something to think about. Another thing that we want to keep in mind, particularly with cereals, is that they normally do have sodium. And so if somebody is trying to follow a healthier lifestyle because of issues with sodium, like high blood pressure, then that's another thing also that they want to keep in mind, that sometimes we might not even know that we are consuming certain things like sodium or added sugar because we don't read the labels, right? And so just something to keep in mind, okay? Okay. Now, speaking of things like high blood pressure, what are the other issues or some of the health issues that are related to overeating or to portion control? Well, if people are eating too much and they start gaining weight, some of the other issues that are associated with obesity or with being overweight are things like high cholesterol, type 2 diabetes, issues with joints or bones, breathing and sleeping problems, and even depression, right? Especially if people, again, they're trying to improve their health, they don't know what they're doing wrong, it's not working for them, and now they get into this depression that also can then create a cycle because the depression itself can lead them to overeating, okay? Heart disease, heart failure, and stroke. All of these are associated to being overweight, so we need to be mindful. And portion control is one of the things that we can actually control, right? For lack of a better word. Portion control is one of those things that we can monitor. We can actually decide how much or how little food we are going to eat, and in that way, help ourselves improve our own health. Let's take a look at the other foods that I have here with me, and let's talk about a serving size and how many calories we are obtaining per serving. The first food that we are going to look at are the Ritz Crackers. Now these crackers state on the box here that they are baked with whole wheat. It's important when we read things like this, like for example this one where it says whole wheat, that we look for the seal that indicates that the food is actually whole wheat, which this one does not have. And if we don't see the seal, then we can look at the ingredient list. And the ingredient list is going to let us know whether or not it really is whole wheat. So what we are looking for is for the first ingredient to say whole wheat flour. Now, what is the seal that indicates that a food is whole wheat? I'm going to show you that now. So that is the seal that indicates that a food is whole wheat. The next thing that we want to look at is the serving size. Now the serving for the Ritz Crackers is 5 crackers. So I'm going to take this out of here. 5 crackers, not 15, not 20, right? As some people might sometimes do. They just take the whole little packet of crackers and eat it all. Here's one serving. Now if we were to accompany the serving of crackers with, say, peanut butter, the serving of peanut butter would be 2 tablespoons, okay? So with peanut butter, we are talking about 2 of these. That's pretty generous for 5 crackers, but let's assume that we eat the full serving of peanut butter and the 5 crackers. The 2 tablespoons of peanut butter are giving me 190 calories, and the 5 crackers are giving me 70 calories. Okay, and so that's 260 calories with just 5 crackers and peanut butter. Now, the good thing is that the peanut butter has protein, and protein helps us feel fuller, right? It helps to satisfy us. And hopefully, with the protein and the crackers, the person will satisfy whatever craving they have, or it will actually satisfy them so that they just eat that and they're good. But if that doesn't happen, then they're going to continue eating, adding more calories to the diet. That's where, again, quality, quantity, right? And so the quality of the foods that we are eating. So the peanut butter is a good choice, right? It gives us protein and it gives us fiber. Perhaps instead of the crackers, we could accompany the peanut butter with celery, or we could accompany the peanut butter with an apple. Now the apple and the celery, they're not going to have many calories, but they're going to give us a lot of nutrients. So again, quality, quantity, right? We're going to feel fuller as well because, again, the peanut butter is giving us fiber, and then either the celery or the apple are also going to be providing fiber. So those are some of the choices, right, that we can make to help ourselves improve our health and to follow a healthier diet. Let's go to the oats. Okay, so here we have steel cut oats. Now, a serving of steel cut oats is 1/4 of a cup dry. And so 1/4 of a cup, this is the measurement, right? 1/4 of a cup. So if I wanted to eat just one serving of oats, then that's what I would eat. Okay, I wouldn't take the container and just pour into my pan until I get to that level that I might be familiar with. I measure it out. My 1/4 cup is giving me 150 calories and 4 grams of fiber. And so this is a good source of fiber. It's going to help me with my digestive process. It's going to help me feel full, and it's going to help me prevent diseases. It has 4 grams of fiber and 5 grams of protein. So that is a really, really good food. Now, in regards to the agave versus the honey, both of them, the serving size is a tablespoon, and both of them have 60 calories per serving. So how do I decide which one of the two I'm going to be consuming? Well, we know that the honey is going to elevate sugar levels in the blood, where the agave is not going to elevate the sugar levels in the blood because the agave goes directly to the liver, right, to be processed. Now that, though, in itself, the fact that it goes directly to the liver, if I eat it too much, then that could be a problem because even though it's not going to elevate my blood sugar levels, because of the amount of fructose that it contains, then I have to be mindful of the liver, right? And so, again, choices to make, but in regards to calories, both of them have the same amount of calories. Now here, in comparison, right, let's say I have honey and let's say I have this artificial syrup. Well, first of all, right off the bat, I'm looking at the ingredients and I'm seeing that this is no more than corn syrup, both regular corn syrup and high fructose corn syrup. Now, a serving size of this one is a quarter cup, so it's about that much. And that 1/4 cup is going to give me 210 calories. Imagine that, 200 calories of just syrup. That's a lot of calories, okay? Again, empty calories because we're talking about a food that has no nutritional value. Now, instead of syrup, what could I use to sweeten my pancakes or my French toast or whatever it is that I am eating, right, with the syrup? I could use fruit, I could use honey, or I could just use really nothing at all. Sometimes it's just a matter of teaching the palate how to not get so used to things that are always very sweet or very salty. Now let's move on to the coffee creamer. Okay, now this is another one that a lot of times we just take and we just pour, right? We don't really think about it. Now, a serving of coffee creamer is 1 tablespoon as well. So here is the tablespoon. And this tablespoon is going to give me 15 calories. But again, looking at the ingredients, number 1, water, number 2, corn syrup. So it is going to be 15 empty calories, and that is assuming that all I pour into my coffee is the 1 tablespoon. Okay? So I hope that these examples help you in understanding the importance of portion control and actually looking at the portion sizes. Okay, now the last thing that I want to show you today is this little gadget here which helps us with portion control. We set this on the plate and it actually tells us, okay, the way that is recommended that we eat these days. Where half of our plate is fruits and vegetables, 1/4 of our plate is starch, and then the other 1/4 is protein. And so here it tells you, here your vegetables, here your fruits, here your starch, and here is your protein. And so you'll notice, again, the size of the tool, right? The tool actually fits on the plate, but it doesn't cover the whole plate. As a lot of people, right, when they eat, even if the plate is that size, they fill the plate with food from corner to corner. And so this shows us the size of the plate. Remember we talked about the diameter of the plate, 9. And then what we do is we just put our food into the little individual separators. And that way, right, we're mindful of what we are eating. It reminds us, right, the recommendations. This is the way that it is recommended for better health. The nice thing about this tool is that not only does it remind you of the different food groups, but it also measures it for you. So you can't see it from where you're at, but there are lines in here, in each divider. And here it tells you the 1 cup is the full, all the way up, and then half a cup is going to be at the line. Now, one of the things to keep in mind with this tool is that it gives you a section for fruit and it gives you a section for vegetables. But if you wanted to, you don't have to do fruits and vegetables, you could just do both vegetables, okay? But again, it's mindfulness. Looking at this, you say, okay, that's right, I need to make sure that at least half of my plate is fruits and vegetables and only a quarter starch and the other quarter protein, unless your doctor tells you otherwise, okay? And remember that we have a goal, 5 servings of vegetables, 4 servings of fruit. This is a great way to help us start measuring our food. Again, eating while being mindful of our health. So this is the information that I have for you today. I hope that you find this information useful, and I hope that this helps you start seeing the importance truly of adding more fruits and vegetables to your diet, of making your plates more colorful every day, and truly eating more for quality than for quantity. Thank you so much for joining me. We look forward to seeing you virtually again next week and at one of our resource centers as soon as we can. Until then, stay active, healthy, and informed.